Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the UHY podcast. My name is Ryan Weir, and I am one of the senior partners here at UHY Manchester. Now, normally by day, the job is that of an audit partner and advising clients. I've actually been afforded the opportunity, I'm told, to be the next Piers Morgan, but perhaps slightly less controversial. Now, the plan is to, for one day only, to be an interviewer and to interview my good friend and colleague that sat next to me, David Kendrick. Dave is our soon-to-be appointed CEO and, much to my dismay, actually going to be the official host of the UHY podcast going forward. So first of all, welcome, Dave.
Morning.
Not to throw you in at the deep end, but perhaps maybe can you tell our soon-to-be many viewers what they can expect from UHY Cast and what sorts of guests we're going to have on in the future?
Yeah, of course. So I think the idea of these episodes is that the viewers and listeners can hopefully get a bit of an insight into the world of accountancy, but actually more importantly, we're looking to bring some really interesting guest speakers onto the show that might involve clients that have had an interesting journey and maybe sold the business or grown a substantial business, inspirational speakers, motivational speakers, perhaps some sports stars. We'll see how it goes and we'll see how the views and the followings go, but hopefully it'll give short shows for people to tune into and get a little bit of thought leadership or an insight into something different that they wouldn't normally get in their everyday trip to work or whatever it might be.
Sounds enthralling. I know I'll be tuning in. So whilst obviously today I plan on setting a particularly high bar for you, you are going to be the host going forward. So I think we can take the opportunity and hear a little bit more about you. As I've already mentioned, you are UHY's CEO in waiting. And I guess you are reaching that milestone for me after following what I describe as maybe a non-typical career path. Reflecting on that, I guess maybe tell us a bit more about your career and at what point did you realise you wanted to be a partner and in fact a CEO?
Yeah, I think I guess as a youngster I always wanted to kind of run or own my own business. I fell into accountancy to some extent, and I suppose when you look at the typical accountancy structure and how these businesses are set up, to get to that kind of top table partnership status is where you need to be from a management point of view and having a material impact in the day-to-day running of the business, but also the ownership of it. So no, it wasn't the plan, if I'm honest with you, back in the day, but yeah, it's been very, very kind to me, and it's something that I really enjoy, and hopefully moving forward can have a bit more of a positive impact and do something special with UHY.
Okay, and I guess sort of digging on that a little bit, was it it was sales and marketing and large firms. There's a huge variety in that career, isn't there? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so I did the standard, go to university, get a 2-1, which I think means you probably did a little bit of work, but also enjoyed yourself at the same time. It normally gets you your first job as well, so that worked okay. I managed to join the Cordwell Group actually on a graduate scheme, and for those of you who don't know, or certainly perhaps some of the younger listeners, that was a business that was founded by John Cordwell, multi-billionaire now, and Phones for You was one of the big brands within that business. So I did a stint there of about 18 months, which was I think about 6 times the length of your average person that lasted. Most people came and went within kind of a 3-month period. Okay. But it gave me a real good grounding on what it was like working in a big corporate. I was in the sales team there, and it was a very aggressive sales environment, basically selling mobile phones into independents, into massive high street retail, into supermarkets. It paid very well, but you didn't see a great deal of daylight. And when you're 21 coming out of university, actually a life balance is, or it felt like something that I wanted to get right. So after 18 months, I actually asked to move into their marketing division because I thought that might be a little bit more less pressured and a bit more diverse, having done a marketing degree. Okay. I was told to stick at what I was doing and I would do very well. And that for me just wasn't the right answer. So yeah, I decided to move on from that business and take a little bit of time out to try and find something that perhaps was going to give me a better career.
And you moved up the step after the Cordwell Group was where?
Yeah, so I joined I saw an advert for a business development marketing manager, and one of these recruitment agents, as they do, gave me the big sales pitch on it and sold me the dream. I met with the owners of the business, and it seemed like an interesting business. It was in the accountancy space, which was something that having a father who was an accountant through and through and a finance director in industry, I was very aware of what accountancy was, and probably not something that I would have put myself in the category of. However, this business specialised in the automotive sector, and I'm a big fan of cars, so thought give it a go, why not? They wanted to grow the business, so yeah, two-footed plunge straight into it, and here we are 21 years later or whatever it is, and still in the industry and still doing a lot in the automotive space. So it's funny how things happen. Absolutely.
Like I said, non-typical, certainly from my own sort of career perspective, which is great. I'm talking to our soon-to-be CEO. You bring a different perspective, career experience, ideas and thoughts. We can't pretend that we always agree on everything, but that creates healthy debate. Like, should I be in a podcast, for example? And I guess from our firm's point of view as well, it just clearly demonstrates that, you know, anyone within our business can develop, have career opportunities, and it doesn't have to be in that sort of rigid form. You know, follow what maybe is a typical accountancy route in terms of career. So, having sort of reflected on that career path now, and I guess with the benefit of hindsight, is there anything that you'd maybe change if you were to go back again?
I think perhaps looking at the kind of the progression I had in my career, I think I was always striving for more, and perhaps sometimes accepted a bit of a woolly answer from leadership or management at the time, and what do the targets need to be to get to the next level? What do I need to do from a progression point of view? And it was almost like a tick box exercise, because in my mind that was the way to get to the top as quickly as you could and earn as much money as you could, being honest. I think actually maybe persisting with that a bit more and not being fobbed off and just accepting that, just stick with it, you're doing well, it'll come. Perhaps could have given me a better structure to where I've got to today. I think you've got to believe in yourself, you've got to back yourself, you've got to trust people around you that have done it before and are clearly in senior positions. But perhaps I, looking back, did lose a couple of years by perhaps not pushing as hard as I could have done, or just being really driven to get to that next level. But then others say, well, early 40s, you're doing pretty well, so what's the problem?
Yeah, I'd say so. And the right smile on my face is that I'm listening to you say that you're not pushy enough, which is interesting. So
I guess it's what gets you out of bed, isn't it?
Okay, not feeling sort of too nostalgic, reflecting on careers. Let's fast forward to present day. Soon to be CEO of UHY. Why take on that role, that position, and what does the future hold?
I think I've always aspired to kind of be at the top of an organisation, whether that's in my kind of outside of work stuff that I do from a voluntary point of view. And I think over the last decade at UHY, we've, as a partner team, we've created a pretty special business. We've got some amazing people in it that have been in it for a lot longer than me. We've got some new people who've joined us in more recent times. And I just feel that there's a real opportunity to kind of grow the business, make it into a kind of a Northwest leading practice that people aspire to come and be part of. Not doing anything that's kind of new necessarily, but just being very good at what we do, making people feel that it's a great place to be, making clients feel that we can support them in whatever part of the journey they're on. And I suppose as we grow, the service lines will grow with us. And again, that will allow us to provide more to people. So I guess time will tell whether it works or not, but it's a challenge that I'm up for. It's been something I've wanted to do for a number of years. And I guess now's time to stop the thinking and start the doing.
Yeah, which is fair. I think we are doing that. It's not just you. I know you will lead the firm, but the management team, the partners, everyone's sort of on board for what is going to be an exciting journey going forward, in my opinion.
Good political answer, Piers.
Okay. Heading into the home straight then, there are 3 standard questions that we will ask every guest. And when I say we, you will be asking every guest. So to spin the tables, that first question is, what would you really want to be when you were a child?
I think the answer was a footballer.
Are you sure? Because I've seen you play football.
Yeah. Fitness and speed gets you quite a long way, I've found. But no, I think if I look back, I think it was just when Man United, my team, was starting to kind of do pretty well, and
understatement, pretty well.
Yeah, we did all right, didn't they? I think that was something that people aspired to be. The young kids all looked up to these superstars or whatever they are these days. And unfortunately, as you will testify, and some of my friends will take the mick out of, the ability perhaps wasn't there for the professionalism. The determination, the effort, the fitness, the speed was all there. But perhaps that lacking of ability maybe held me back. So thank God I didn't pursue that one too long. Still enjoy it though.
Absolutely. Moving on. Second question. Having just reflected on your career to date, and now with the benefit of hindsight, what thing would you change possibly?
I suppose, without repeating the answer I gave before, probably backing myself earlier. I think we worked at a firm for a number of years and probably got into quite a routine with that business. It was growing nicely, but we never had any ownership in it. And looking at the kind of the other side of the fence and the grass always being greener, it's fine. But then when it comes down to it, do you have the confidence to back yourself and go and do something? So I think the one thing I probably would have done if I could have my time again would have been to have made the move to UHY at an earlier stage, and really believed in what we were doing and the clients we had and the feedback we were getting, and actually have taken that plunge earlier with the team of us that moved at the time. It's worked amazingly well. So hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it? But absolutely. I think looking back, we perhaps could have made that move slightly earlier, and perhaps would have been a little bit further progressed down the plan that we are today.
And finally, the most important question. You're having a dinner party this weekend. I have no plans, for the record. But which 3 guests would you invite, and why?
Okay. I've given this one some thought, knowing it was coming. So I think the football side of me says I've got to have someone who's a bit of a hero from that point of view, and also someone who's a little bit controversial. So I think to help us with the starters and a bit of French onion soup, maybe Eric Cantona. Controversial in football. Probably one of the best players that's played for Man U. Moved from Leeds to United, which is always a slightly controversial move, and of course decided to kung fu kick a fan in the crowd once. I think I'd have to have him at the table to give a bit of the va-va-voom or whatever Thierry Henry says. I think second person I would have, and there's a little bit of a theme here actually, is probably Michael Jordan.
Okay.
Having watched his film or program last year, I think The Last Dance it's called. Just listening to him and how he was just always driven to succeed no matter what, at any cost. I think whilst he's told some of his stories to the film, I'm sure there's a lot more behind the scenes that he could tell. And I think that'd be quite an interesting character to have sat at the table puffing away on his big fat £1,000 cigars.
Absolutely.
And then last but not least, I think Nelson Mandela.
Okay.
Probably a little bit of a different one, but probably again someone who, no matter what was thrown at him, seemed to come out of things with a smile on his face, and obviously quite a tragic situation that he went through. And again, kind of doing some reading and watching some programs on him, I think just hearing his story and just how he managed to keep going and going and going.
Well, that's fascinating, isn't it? If you could listen to those stories.
Yeah, and then I'd just be sat there being dull, just having a nice bottle of wine, maybe.
So you've definitely not invited me then.
Sorry. If I get any dropouts, I'll let you know.
Fine. Okay. Well, that brings episode 1 to a close. I'm not sure if we've given Pierce and Ronaldo a run for their money, but let's see. I guess, Dave, can you wrap up things and let our viewers know what they can expect from episode 2?
Yeah, I think first of all, thanks for coming on. Hopefully, it's not been too bad as a first go round, and yeah, if I'm the Ronaldo, then hopefully I won't be getting a payoff anytime soon to leave. But no, I think the future episodes are going to be more focused around bringing on guests that are not part of UHY, have their own story to tell. As I mentioned at the beginning, whether that be around their business journey that they've been on, whether that be focusing more on a motivational experience or life experience, that type of thing. So I think episode 2, we're going to be joined by John Leach, who was the founder of Winning Pitch. John built that business from the ground up. Quite an interesting guy, a very, very driven, again, actually quite a sales background he has, but he grew that business, successfully sold it 3 or 4 years ago for a handsome sum of money. So John's going to be coming on and talking to us about where it all started, the challenges he had, what he thinks business owners and entrepreneurs should be focusing on in their day-to-day running of their businesses. So really excited to welcome John. He'll no doubt give me some grief, as he always does, but he's a fun character to have around. So tune in for the next episode, and hopefully our viewing stats will continue to increase.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for your time.
Cheers. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you.